Hi, welcome to Effective Coding. In this video lecture, you are going to learn how to take backup of your WordPress files over SSH. In this video lecture, I am not going to show you how to take MySQL backup. Rather, I will only use WordPress files. So, we will firstly create the zip file of WordPress installation files, and then we will proceed to download the files to our local machine. So without any further ado, let's start. So guys, we will start with little introduction to SSH. Firstly, we will see what is SSH. SSH is a communication protocol we use to communicate to a remote server in order to share information with each other. The communication is encrypted, so we are able to communicate to insecure networks over the SSH. So it is basically a command line interface we use to connect it to a remote server so that we can get or we can send data. Now let's move to next question. How does SSH work? So SSH works pretty much same as HTTP, but with fewer differences. Firstly, the mechanism of SSH is the user has a SSH client installed in his machine, and by SSH client he initiates a connection which contacts the server, and then the server responds with the public key, and then both the SSH client and the SSH server negotiate with each other and check whether the keys or other things match or not, and on successful channeling, the SSH client provides user details and the SSH server checks for the login details, and if the login details are good, then SSH client gets access to the server, and then the user is able to work with the data with a remote server. He can post or he can receive data from a remote server. Now, before we start teaching you how to create a backup of your WordPress files, there are a few requirements you must meet. First is you must have a basic knowledge of working computer, like how to use a software. Second, you should have internet connection so that we will connect to a remote server. Then if you are on Windows, you must have open SSH installed on your local machine or any other SSH client. So as I'm on Windows, I will use SSH client which is called PuTTY. I will mention it in the video. And the other thing you need is SSH login details. It is the login details of your remote server, so we can connect to it. So if you meet all these basic requirements, then you are good to go. Now let's move towards the practical. So guys, here is the first requirement. If you are meeting all the requirements, then if you're on Windows, you may have open SSH installed, but if you don't have, you can install the SSH client which is called PuTTY. You can download and then you can start using it. We will use PuTTY to initiate connection with our server using SSH. So let's see how we can initialize the connection to our web server, to a remote server, through PuTTY. So on successful installation of PuTTY, you can open the PuTTY software, and inside it you have to enter your IP address of your web server, or you can enter a host name. And remember, you have to select this as SSH. The connection type should be SSH, and once we provide IP address, then we can click open. So you must keep your SSH credentials on hand. So let me enter my address. So here you can check I am using the dream host, so I will show you how to access my DreamHost web server. And this is a dummy created for websitegetter.com. This is dummy, this is not real, but I will show for practical purposes. I will show you how to do it. So I will copy it. Here is the host name, or if you don't know, or if you have other host, you can call them. You can tell them to give the SSH details if your hosting plan allows it, so that you can ask the hosting provider and they will surely give you. So inside PuTTY you can enter your host name or IP address of your web server and click open. It will open a command line interface. Now we have to enter the username, which in my case is DH. Click enter, and now you have to type in the password. Sorry, my password is wrong. You can see that I have been logged inside the SSH and I have access to my server. So firstly what you have to do is you have to type in cd command to it means current directory, and then you have to give the command ls, and it will list all the files inside the current directory. So what I will do, I will first navigate to websitegetter.com, because these are the files which I have to zip into and then download to my local machine. So here you can check everything is here. Every file, every WordPress installation file is here. Now I will go back to directory and then list it out. And now what I have to do is I will zip this file, because this is my directory where the WordPress install files live. So now let's start with what I can do. I have to provide some details here, like some codes or some commands through which we can zip our WordPress files. So you have to pass zip -r dash, then you have to provide the name of the file you want to set and then download it to your local machine. In this case I will just put a dummy zip just like this, and then we have to provide the directory name, and then I will click enter, and you can see it has started to enter to create a zip file. Once it is done, I will show you. You can see that all files have been added to our zip file. Now I have run a command cd, which means current directory, and now I will list out all the files here. As you can see, we have a file which I earlier provided to command to create a qwerty.zip file. So in this case you can see that the zip file has been created, but let's move back to our commands first. The commands I ran were zip, then space, and then -r. What does the r have mean? It has a special meaning in SSH. It means the recursive reading files, means it will do all the subdirectories of the current directory will be listed in the zip file. Otherwise, if you don't put the r flag, the subdirectories won't be listed in this zip file. So for that purpose, because WordPress has many subdirectories, so I did provided the command -r to include all those subdirectories in this zip file. Now you can go to your hosting and check inside the file manager whether this file has been created or not. Let me show you whether this file is created inside file manager or not. Let's see. So here you can see that the qwerty.zip file has been successfully created. Here it is, and here it is the size of the file. So we have successfully created the file. Now you can come to host and click download option, and it will download to your local machine. So all this was about the creating a backup file of your WordPress files to your local machine. Why I told you to use this method, because the SSH zipping is the fastest method. If you do this by using the hoster, probably it may take a longer time for zipping the files, but the SSH method is too fast and it is secure to do this. That is why I told you to create a backup of your WordPress files through SSH. Also, you should use this method only if you are migrating one site from the other. Otherwise, there are many plugins or other tools which lets you back up your WordPress files, and as well as MySQL. So, and one thing I forgot is, once you do this, you must exit your current session of your SSH. You can do so by entering the exit command, and it is done. I hope you have liked the video. If you liked the video and loved the video, please share and like it. Also, do subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to receive notifications from our YouTube channel.